Okay, Twitch is live, just waiting for adverts to finish.
Power starts with what now?
What?
Power starts with what now? Dorito chips? Oh no, it's Power Stars. I do believe we're live on YouTube as well.
Very good.
Terrifying, really.
Alright, let's get back to welding.
Now, it's building Mark II.
Mom says, hello?
Yes. Hello. That's us. Terrifying, I know. I forgot what I was doing. Were you done with your explanation of the show already?
Maybe.
Oh, okay. For the German viewers out there, this could basically be described as Genial daneben, but instead of questions, we just have
discussion.
Funny stories.
Yeah.
Or peculiar stories, and then people chime in eventually. Now I'm thinking about it, that doesn't sound like Genial daneben at all, because we've taken the entire question gimmick away, and so instead you just have comedians doing improv.
Yeah,
It's supposed to give people the space and the opportunity to recreate marvels like Bill Cosby being Oprah's knee.
Yeah, I've kind of based it around having a bit of a scripted storyline so that I can say, so that there's something to structure a conversation around more than anything else. But Mom says, nobody asked for this, nobody wanted this. What, Oprah being part of... What? I can't even remember what it was. Oprah being Bill Cosby's knee?
No, don't be gross. That would be sexist. No, Bill Cosby is Oprah's knee.
Right. I don't even remember what that was
stop
about.
Apparently. I'm not sure if you were around for this one. Were you around for... It was the one that started with a call center for 5-year-olds.
Oh, I was there for that one. That I was probably distracted by that idea.
Oh, no, we moved on.
No, Bill Cosby was Oprah's leg, says Bernie.
Sorry. I might have gotten too specific there with here. But...
Oh, nobody asked for this, nobody wanted this, the BBC Three YouTube channel.
Oh! Yeah. Does that mean there is actually a vet interested in Bill Cosby starring as Oprah's leg?
I don't know. But anyway, I've written my first script and I'm quite proud of it.
That's true. And now she won't let me know about it.
Yeah.
Until we've got the whole gang together.
Uh-huh.
Which is either going to be, next Nidd away. Or, as soon as we get everyone else together.
Yeah.
Both of which seem mildly impossible.
So might do... I would like to do a test run before I go scripting lots more stories. Bill Cosby won't be starring as anything. He's in prison. That's true. Maybe he gets day release for, work. They do a lot of that in America. They use prisoners to do civic duties, like putting sand on bridges when it's about to freeze.
I'm not entirely sure if you can count filming a movie as a civic duty.
Well, it's like, where do these things start and stop?
Oh, yeah. They're Americans, after all.
Right, which way round? Not that way. Not that way.
Damn it.
Oh, I'm having difficulties with this one. Hang on, let me see. So I need to page up. Okay. Who'd have thought? I was talking about how some videos are good, most of them meh, but then you get videos like zero waste sex products and plastic free period products that are just no. Bernie says, wow, Mia. I mean, you're not wrong, but wow, Mia.
What did I do now? No, what did I do?
Filming not being a civic duty?
I didn't think it would be that offensive to suggest that.
Well, Bernie did say you're not wrong.
Yeah, but it didn't count as very offensive either.
He didn't say that it was offensive, he just said wow.
Yeah, wow kinda implies offence in my book.
Well, there is some truth to say that
Wow.
offence exists
Shots
where it's
fired.
taken rather than where it was meant.
Well, I commonly know the expression of wow in the context of
Mia said, well, they are Americans with a certain undertone.
well, they like their movies. They have a whole city based around it. To be fair, so does Manchester, but I don't think it's quite a Hollywood movie city. It's more like a...
Salford, actually, not Manchester.
Salford is part of Greater Manchester.
Yeah.
So it's part of Manchester in my book. Checkmate, Salfordians.
I think some Salfordians would take offence at that.
Well, are you one of them?
Not me personally.
Checkmate again.
I don't really take offence at much, though.
Now, my point here being that the media city that is in this area here...
Bernie says, apparently you're all the same at Tammy. And Tammy says, I hope not.
No, I did not say that.
You said, those Americans. Well, they are Americans.
Well, they all identify as...
All.
They all identify as citizens of the United States of America. You can't really deny me that. If they don't identify as that, they're not Oh, no.
Hang on, did you say citizen? They all identify as citizens?
Yeah, I just realised my mistake.
Yeah.
Never mind. I'll talk about people in Brazil now. Those Americans. Take this. Hold on a minute. What's this nonsense?
What?
I'm in a gravity well. Who's done this? Where's this coming from?
So Tammy is the same as Donald Trump?
No, I'm not saying they're all the bloody same. They're just... American culture has a certain fondness for movie and the movie industry. You produce a whole lot, not everyone individually, but your culture as a collective. You attribute a lot of value to TV culture. I'm not saying we're not doing the same thing. I remember when I was getting up at like 4 in the morning to watch cartoons as a bloody child and then realise all the infomercials are still on. And I still watch them. It's been that bad. I still watch them until I discovered Bible TV, which airs really horrible and vapid cartoons. Even earlier. I guess they're catching the early crowd of children. Point in case being, you'll never know the adventures of Jesus like I did. He murdered a child. He also partook in kidnapping a lot.
Okay, Mia. I think that's enough controversy for today.
So back to the other controversy I was trying to stir up. So Salfordians
Mia trying to talk himself out of the corner he previously talked himself into. Says this is pure comedy gold. Babom says, by that logic, Germans have a thing for conquering France and Russia.
We do! We bloody do! Why do you think we invented the European Union?
I've got steel plate. It just told me I needed steel plate. I've got steel plate. I thought I'd run out early.
Where was I? Media City. Yeah, they're not making Hollywood blockbusters. They're more into BBC Three documentaries, I imagine.
They make TV rather... They do make some films, but it's films for TV rather than films for the cinema. Xerx is here. He says, I'm German, and we do.
We do have a thing for conquering France and Russia?
At Mia, Germans didn't invent the EU. The Americans did. We Germans had to ask to join after the fact. I thought it was Netherlands, the Benelux countries, wasn't it? Belgium,
Probably.
Netherlands, and Holland.
We cursed them into doing this. It's all been a mind game from the very start. You had to be around for it.
Tammy says, how did we invent the EU?
Well,
revisionist history.
Not you Americans. We discussed this. It's Brazilians.
Babom says, that took an unexpected turn.
This wasn't the warning message I'm out of steel plates. I'm out of energy again.
Woo.
But point in case being, discussions like this is what Sal's hoping to achieve with that show. Just, less politically
Well, it depends, actually,
charged.
because I'm trying two formats, and I don't know which one will work best. The first script that I've written is a relatively obscure story that lots of people may have heard something of it, but very few people will know much about it at all. And I'm going to keep it secret until we actually go ahead and start it. And so the way the script is written, it's a 5-minute script, and it's meant to... and it's broken up into 15 little snippets. So the idea is that you get a little bit of it. A little bit of story, then a little bit of discussion, then a little bit of story, and a little bit of discussion, so that you don't just get one big lump of story, but all of the sort of factual stuff is split up into little snippets. And there's about 5 minutes of actual script in there. But the second format that I want, obscure story, probably that weirdo who liked to kill whores way back. Oh, Jack the Ripper.
I understood horses, and I thought,
No,
who's
horse.
this? Who's this rude guy? How did the horses do to you?
Well, the second format that I want to try is one where everybody's got a level of familiarity. People's knowledge will be different, and everybody knows the topic before we get anywhere near like the discussion panel. And I'm thinking about for my second script, writing about steel plate. Do I really need steel plate? Yes,
Yes, writing about steel plates.
Writing about a script around the release of the classified material about JFK and the implications of to conspiracy theories around what came out with the release of the JFK papers, because it's quite interesting. But Bob says, so are we going to get more info on the chat girl stroke fortune telling company Sal supervised for? No, I wasn't sort of Sal's stories, because I can do that anytime, anywhere. This is these are true stories that are in the public domain. So I've gone and collected research on something, and so it could be that it could be a weird thing in science, it could be a weird thing in history, a weird thing in geography, or it could be all kinds. Oops. Can I just weld these up? You mean the Warren Commission report? Can't remember. I remember reading about the Warren Commission report. I don't know whether it was just the Warren Commission report or whether the Warren Commission report was just part of what I've read. I'd be able to answer that if I had written that bit of the script yet. But I just started looking into it. Bernie says it'd be a nice change of pace from all this Mueller report nonsense. Yeah, so the basic premise of that story is that like the JFK conspiracy was the grassy knoll and all of that, and there's an awful lot of tinfoil hat stuff about it. And I wasn't really that interested, to be honest. If one more person gives shit to the magic bullet, it's perfectly plausible, and the more flesh a bullet travels through, the slower it travels, so the less likely it is to shatter, says Bobom. Tammy says it still haunts Dallas. The thing is, Bobom, is that the government have since released reports saying that, yeah, there was a cover-up. There is some sort of conspiracy involved. Well, conspiracy is an emotive word, and that there likely was a second shooter. Now that's the government saying that. However, not all of the CIA records from the time exist. And only 90% of those that do exist have been released.
I'll be honest with you, the first time she outlined this to me, I misheard second shooter, a seventh shooter.
Yeah.
And I was mildly surprised that I haven't heard about the other 5.
Yeah,
let alone the 7th one.
Yeah. Yeah. So
that's something I'm gonna go bring up as soon as the show goes live, by the way. Yeah, I need somebody to check my thing.
Check your thing. Do we have a doctor in the house?
Okay, let me rephrase that. I'm parking. Okay. I need somebody to check space.
Alright, where are you?
Parking the train.
Okay, where do you need me to be?
Am I ramming into the...
do you need me around the front or the back?
Front. How do I ram Almond and Enterprise together? The Entermond.
Okay, you are way too close.
Yeah, I know, but I need to get forward to the thruster.
You need to be...
Okay, got it. Never mind.
No, you need to be further away, because if Boris comes on, they'll just smash into each other.
Yeah, don't worry. I'll move it away as soon as this thruster's welded up.
Okay.
So, 7th shooter. And I really like the mental image of just 6 guys sitting together in a hotel room trying to duke it out who gets to shoot him.
Babom says, I'm more inclined to believe an original report than one based off less evidence and who happened to lose some of the evidence they reviewed. Well, that's what's so interesting about it, though. It's... Tamia might be able to correct me on some of this. I've not done the research yet. I've just looked into it to see if it's interesting, and it is. And I'm speaking as somebody who wasn't the slightest bit interested at all in the conspiracy theories. Just because, you know, it was all a bit... Nah. Yeah, maybe there was, maybe there wasn't. Not bothered. Doesn't affect me. Not interested.
Well, you would be invested if there were 7 shooters.
No, there could be as many shooters. It doesn't make the slightest bit of difference.
This could be turned into some reality TV show.
But
I'm wasting all my good ideas on this.
Maybe not.
What do you mean, maybe not? I can already imagine the intro pitch. I'm very bad at imagining things.
Bernie says, help, I need somebody. Help, not just anybody. When I was younger, so much younger than today, yeah. I think it's a page down. Yes, it's a page down. I'm sure if Ruby hadn't have shot Oswald, there wouldn't be as much conspiracy theory about it. Yeah. Like, if Oswald was still around, it wouldn't have generated anywhere near as many conspiracy theories, I'm sure. But it's... Tammy will correct me if I've got this wrong, but after a certain number of years, I think it's decades, there's a legal obligation on the American government to release reports that were too sensitive to release at the time. So about 10 years ago, maybe, an awful lot of information was released, which had never been in the public domain before, because the time just expired for them to remain secret. We got a similar thing in the UK with freedom of information, where you can only keep government information secret for so long, and you have to. But with us, we state at the outset how long it needs to be kept secret for, and then once that time's expired, it has to go into the public domain. Yeah, it might be the Freedom of Information Act. But I'm not sure, because I don't know how that works in the States. In the UK, although we do it very differently here. If the public or if anybody requests the information, then it has to be released if the time has passed. Yeah, Tammy says, I think you have to request the information. So that might be why because I was vaguely aware of it at the time, that there was a bit of a hoo-ha in the press or something that the papers were going to be made public. But I guess that's because everyone knew the time was running out and all of the conspiracy theorists were going to be FOI in it, and once it's in the public domain, it's publishable. And so everyone was planning on publishing it.
Ooh, this thing turns like butter now.
Turns like butter. Is that good or is that bad?
Good.
Oh, okay. It's just, I've never tried to turn butter before, except in...
It's like very slippery and smooth is what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. I see. So, so the information that was released included some really quite interesting stuff, like from the time, which information that wasn't available at the time. which I think is what led to the Warren Commission. And Atushu, hello Atushu, says, how about info that's secretly being kept secret? yeah, indeed. There's usually an exemption for, certainly for our government, and I think for the states as well, that if there's certain reasons why you can keep information secret indefinitely. Like national security and stuff like that.
Energy low.
Yeah, and so I thought that because it's something that I found the original stuff not particularly interesting, but I found I've seen summaries of the information that was released sort of recently in the last decade or whatever, and that is really interesting. But you know, it's all so old. There's not really that much of interest. But what it does do is it kind of brings to life some of the old tinfoil hat conspiracy theories, because there's now much more of a basis for it, whereas, you know, the idea that a government just has conspiracies just for the hell of it. Not, you know, it's not something that
obviously the moon is flat.
You know, I'm not. Yeah, the moon's flat and they're not telling us. It's I'm not of that mindset. But yeah, this is interesting. Do Trump's tax returns need to be kept secret because of national security as well? I think that's about privacy, personal privacy.
Well, he made those tax returns when he wasn't president yet, so by that logic you would just be keeping the tax returns of a normal citizen under wraps for national security, and that seems a bit excessive in my opinion.
No, like in the UK, our tax information is classified as, in fact in the EU, tax information is classified as personal data. It's sensitive personal data, so it's given the highest level of privacy protection that exists. So
do government officials have to release them here?
No. Obviously, they tell the taxman what they're earning. And if there is any reason to doubt that they're telling the truth, then the taxman will pick that up. But yeah, it's in America. It's a custom thing rather than a legal thing. And Tammy says, personally, I don't care about his tax return. And Babom says, in my opinion, it's a good thing for information to be kept secret, especially things like the sinking of Belgrano and other wartime activities, other wartime operations. Highest level of privacy, yeah, right. Zuckerberg knows all about our taxes.
I don't think he distinctly knows. I think he just has very good estimates. Like, he wouldn't get those first hand by, I don't know, looking through our tax returns, but given the profiles that people create and leave around on the internet, he can compare with data he does have available, for example, through his own employees, and
well, he could go to something like Glassdoor or LinkedIn, get an idea of your salary. You could look and see. I mean, you can construct what somebody's tax records should look like
based on correlation
based on
and data.
Yeah. I was talking to a computer science. He hates being called ICT teacher, says Bomb, who said the thing that terrifies his department most is ex-students using the right to be forgotten requests. Ooh.
They can do that?
I imagine so.
How does that even work? I mean, I'm all in favour, most bizarrely speaking, but I'm struggling to see how you can make this work. This is like going to your citizen registry office and then telling them you'd like to be forgotten.
So it's because it requires them to look over everything to find to find anything informative on the student. I wonder how that... Because most laws have a reasonable clause in them. It's the same with things like freedom of information. There's a reasonableness test that's just based on how much would it cost to actually do this and how much time would it actually take. And is it an unreasonable request? And is that unreasonableness just because of sloppy processes? In which case, there's no... you're not given any... how do I phrase this? They don't let you off if it's just because your record keeping's really bad. But if you say, well, our record keeping was really bad 20 years ago, and so it would cost us thousands or thousands in man-hours to do that now, but what we can do is X, then that's usually accepted.
What is X in this context? We can set the whole building on fire.
No,
that gets rid of all the records.
For example, the right to be forgotten is about on the internet.
Yes, I'm aware.
Yeah, so you don't need to set buildings on fire. Just
well,
servers.
watch me. I'm going to set the internet building on fire, which obviously exists.
So that means that if you say what we can do is do a search on this student's name, and we can remove any information on our current websites that relate to this student. So there'll be no information available in the public domain currently about this student. But for us to look through our archive material or to find information on the student that isn't associated with his name, sort of like school photographs where people are not named, that is not something that we can do automatically, and it would take several hundred hours worth of teacher time to do.
And it seems very prone to error.
Huh?
It also seems very prone to error.
Oh, steel plate. Wow, I'm eating through steel plate.
Yeah, I realised that. I just send another couple thousand into the production queue.
I think it must be... I mean, I'm eating it up at the rate of 300 at a time.
Yeah, me too.
Are you? I presumed that you... Oh, but your welder works so much faster, doesn't it?
It does work a little bit quicker, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want me to put one of those efficient welders into the system for you?
Yes, please, if we can make one. We didn't have the material to make one.
Be able to. Assembler,
I tried
master, Production queue. Elite welder. Do you need an elite
Yeah, we got
grinder?
platinum now. We didn't have any platinum before.
It's pulling the stuff into the system. Welder at 40%, 60, 80, 90. It should be somewhere in one of the assemblers.
Cool. I shall go and look for it in just a second. Alright, I've put through some thousands of... We're probably going to have to go and mine some iron soon.
We probably do. Then again, let's check iron. Iron storage. Currently sitting at... Ooh. Oh.
Yeah, nice. Huh?
Oh, iron currently
yeah.
sitting at 740,000. I don't think we need iron anytime soon.
Okay. Right, let's go.
Steel plate. Whew.
Right, where was I welding? I was busy welding up this tube. Yes, but that could require a lengthy lawsuit over legal technicalities and grey areas. It's not usually how it works. I imagine that it would be someone like the Information Commissioner who's in charge of regulating it. The Information Commissioner is... so the way it works with freedom of information, I imagine it would work somewhat similar for the right to be forgotten. Is that if you make a freedom of information request and it's too onerous for the government department to deliver within a reasonable amount of time and a reasonable amount of cost, then they have to write back to you and refuse your request, telling you why. If you think that they are just being obstructive, then you can make an appeal to the Information Commissioner. The Information Commissioner will then look at it and decide whether there's a reasonableness to what you're saying. Most places, it's not often that you end up in court. It's, I suppose it's a well-tested law now, where people know, well, government departments know what they can get away with and what they can't get away with. There's been the odd one where it's ended up in court, but it's not common. Because a lengthy lawsuit about legal technicals and grey areas isn't going to resolve whether or not you can actually do the job. And it wouldn't be a criminal offence, it'd be a civic offence. So if the maximum fine would actually be cheaper than doing the job, then the court could say, we insist that you do it. And you'd say, we're not gonna. And then they would fine you. And then you'd say, right, well, we'll pay the fine because it's cheaper to pay the fine than it is to actually do the work. Which purely demonstrates that it's a very reasonable thing to do. To refuse to do it because it's so expensive in the first place. So the law, especially that kind of law, can be more reasonable than you'd imagine. And once a law is set, laws are made by government, but then they are determined by the courts. So when the politicians write a law, if they've left something which or if they've written it in such a way that it's either difficult to deliver on, or it's too vague, or it's not practical, or something like that, then the judges, if you take it to court, then you can take it to court and ask the judges to rule against the law. So certainly in the UK, the majority of law is made in the courts rather than in government. So government writes it, but then the judges clear up stuff. The what's it called? Juris precedent. I've been learning about that recently. I'm going to be sitting a law exam maybe in November, depending on how things go. So I've just started doing a little bit of research, but because I work in a legal department at the moment, I've got a reasonable working knowledge of law. Bomb says, I don't know. I don't think it's really been tested much in this case. What is acceptable. And this law is about privacy rather than freedom of information, so it's more important. Yeah. And Bernie says, jurisprudence, that's the one. Yeah, jurisprudence. It's the type of law that we have in the UK. I think, is that also, that's in the States as well, isn't it? Jurisprudence. Yeah, jurisprudence. I know it's a Latin term. It means that the judges interpret the law. That is, the law is written by the government, but then the judges interpret it, and they then rely on each other's interpretations to determine settled law. So yeah, I can understand a nervousness when new laws come out which have the potential to affect you, or your business or your organisation. Criminal law is way more scary though than civil law. And law of governance, it's the test of reasonableness doesn't necessarily apply to criminal law in the same way. Things would be so much simpler stroke fair if it was run by robots, except mere robots.
I keep telling that to the pal guy in the office, that I personally believe having some sort of central AI run government would be far more efficient than anything else humans can come up with at the moment.
Oh, what's he think of that? Is that controversial for him?
He seems wary of it, but he agrees that, he couldn't do any better.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how he'd take to that, actually.
Oh no, this actually looks like an enterprise from a distance.
That's a good thing.
I'm gonna die.
Why?
I didn't slow down in time.
Well, that was silly.
Well, I lied. I did slow down in time.
Oh, you're just being dramatic.
Well, I guess I'll have to hit that inertia dampening button later in the future. I'll figure out the optimal distance eventually.
Enterprise, more like the Equinox.
Yeah, fine.
Why did I stop making it the full width part way round? Did I suddenly run out of steel plates or something? Now I've run out of steel plates. How's my energy as well? Let's get some more energy wherever left the ship. Not that way. That way. So we need to tell Boris that we need him to sort out his assembly lines, because it's all very well and good having stuff that's very quickly refined, but isn't he supposed to be building an assembly factory as well?
Yes, and as far as I'm aware, the actual assembly station is supposed to be downstairs in Almond's ship factory, which automatically mass produces ships from blueprints. This is just an orbital refinery station, if I understood him correctly, but I might not have.
Babom says, yeah, I said the same thing to somebody a few weeks ago. She hasn't spoken to me since. And Bernie says, well, that's not how you start a first date, Babom. Where have I left the connector? Oh, who was there's somebody at your university, wasn't there, Mia, who got really upset when you were talking about
oh yeah, I was
surgeons.
suggesting that I would let myself be operated on by a robot surgeon. I trust them enough, and I was assuming that in just a few years, not even decades at this point, a lot of jobs would be done by robots, including many medical professional jobs. She was working as a nurse at the time.
Oh, I see. You were taking her job away from her.
Well, not me. I was suggesting that she was going to lose her job, which she did in the end anyway, but I think that had more something to do with the fact that she got pregnant.
It really shouldn't. There's anti-discrimination laws against that.
As in, I think she quit.
Oh, okay.
Especially after the baby didn't make it.
Oh.
Yeah, that was an uncomfortable conversation. I hadn't seen her in over a year because she took a slightly different course compared to me, and then we ran into each other at the first lecture of a course we suddenly shared again. Not a course, a unit? I don't know how to differentiate between this. And, well, yeah, then she kind of let that bombshell out, and I don't know how to handle this because you know how tactful I am.
Uh-huh. I hope it went something along the lines of, oh, I'm terribly sorry to hear that.
Yeah, baby salsa is a great thing, isn't it?
I really hope that's not where you went. I'm sure it wasn't.
It was. It was.
No, I'm
she
sure
already,
it wasn't.
Well, not to her face. But she was in hearing distance when I was suggesting it to friends. Probably. I don't know. I assume she's doing fine now.
Yeah, we're really going to have to work on your understanding of appropriate audiences. Mia just knows how to talk to the girls.
Well, A, she already hated me anyway, and B, maybe I do know how to talk to them, I just purposefully choose to do it inappropriately so she can stay away with her human surgeons.
Well, I would let myself be operated on by Mr. Data, but I draw the line at Wally. What about a Borg? That's a big nope. As long as the tech that's putting the patient data into the robot knows what he's doing, it'll be okay.
Exactly.
It all comes down to the programming. I think that's right. That's so not right. Okay. So, chat, how on earth do we help Mia learn some of these life lessons? The mom says, in my opinion, your current social system cannot withstand a mass job loss at the hand of robotics. We will be forced to stop or embrace a more socialist system. Well, personally, I would experiment with universal income. But yeah, it does require a change of... Oops, that's the wrong thing.
Economic system, because if the majority of people are unemployable in the future, they wouldn't earn any money, and in an economy based on consuming, that would generate a huge loss of consumers. So who would do all the consuming if nobody has the money? You can't just cater to the super rich.
There we go. Bernie says, step 1, get him a girlfriend stroke boyfriend. so he can learn the hard way. And Xerxes
Excuse
says,
me, I'm perfectly happy.
He's got his boiler, who doesn't take offence at any of his jokes. And doesn't...
It's a match made in the closet.
Indeed. Well, folks are losing jobs to robots for like 50 years already. That's true.
Yeah, but this one's different. These robots can overtake you in academic-based fields soon.
Put a shock collar on him. That shocks him when he says something inappropriate.
Oh yeah, that'll be a conversation starter. Look at this shock collar that I'm wearing, friend.
Every time he says something like baby salsa, he gives him a zap and says, no, don't make jokes about that.
Well, how am I supposed to make jokes about this then with Boris? You can't just start some Pavlovian condition.
We can take your collar off when you're talking to Boris.
No, this doesn't work. You're generating a Pavlovian conditioning response here.
That's how
so
it works.
I would be unable to talk about this sort of thing with Boris too.
Yeah. You see, what happens is that you first learn what is appropriate and what isn't appropriate. That usually happens as a child.
I know
and then
what's appropriate and what isn't. This is a simple act of defiance.
Oh, you choose.
Yes,
you
I
choose
do.
To be offensive.
I do.
And
because
hurtful.
She doesn't believe in robots. Now I'm going to show her.
But Mom says, so Mia, never comment on a woman. It's just too large a minefield. There is somebody who will take offence.
I've already taken offence to her, so the joke's on her. Take that.
Depends on... Well, joke's on her.
Don't make me turn this into an offensive joke by bringing up tragedies that happened to her in the past.
Okay. Folks have been losing jobs to robots since the Industrial Revolution. So this is...
Yeah, but at the time, new jobs were created in turn with the new industries that emerged. Most prominent example...
I think we should state that Mia's about to get into a theory, but he will probably quote it as fact.
Yeah, I do that sometimes.
Yeah.
However, I realise that we probably do not have the time to start this.
Oh, we probably don't. Yeah, we reach an end of stream. We are reaching end of stream. Hey, and I got my cylinder welded up. I think I doubt if I will make it much larger. How do you think about this for width, Mir? Just for a little... I might have to add a couple of blocks on, maybe thruster blocks, like for, you know, sort of just practical flying purposes, but it's really is a very narrow ship. This is the general working area.
That looks pretty alright in my book.
Mm. We have 5 minutes, says Babom. Right, I'm going to take you and you off. I've just thought the connector, we've got a connector at the front, like I'm going to put a connector at the front and a connector at the back. I should also make sure that I pipe that the whole way through, shouldn't I?
Yes.
So that any carriages that are connected to the end of, like, say we've got the engine there, we need the connector to run all the way through.
We do.
Because we might, because then we'll have another carriage out there that will be doing something else.
Either that, or you can just string the reactors together.
Oh yeah, and have it travel through the reactors.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It can do that.
On the topic of collars, I sent you guys a little comic, says Bernie. Oh, we should have a look at that. And Xerxa says, title for the next stream, Welcome to our Robot Overlords, I guess.
I wish it were that easy. Knowing how stubborn humans, specifically politicians, are, I'm going to struggle with the idea of actually having an AI-based government implemented within my lifetime. Probably in Finland first.
I don't know if I actually...
Or the Danish. Oh, the Danish.
I was gonna put a floor in at that height, but I'll also need to slope the floor down on the other side, which means that I'm not gonna have much floor at this height at all. Tammy says, I for one welcome our robot overlords. Babom says, no mere sex education lesson. I see you there, Miss Brockman. I think I'm probably missing a lot of references right here.
Well, it's not a reference I've heard of, which, you know, isn't very hard.
It's probably not much better than references I've not heard of, to be honest.
If only there were an Anubis here.
Anubis knows all the references.
Well, he knows a lot of them.
Maybe what I need to do then is to not have it quite so curved down the bottom. Have a flatter bottom to it. So the top is very curved, but the bottom is a bit more angled so that I can lower the floor. Ah, I was suggesting a title, says Babom, which is Mia's sex education lesson. And Xerxa says, I see you there, Miss Brockman, is from Futurama.
I do believe they're suggesting that there's going to be another stream.
You're in work tomorrow, Mia.
I am in work tomorrow.
So we should really call the stream to an end.
Well, I wouldn't go to bed right away.
Yeah, we really should call the stream to an end, though, Mia.
Well, you heard it from Sal first. We're not having any fun here.
Oh, it's from The Simpsons. Ah. I've watched lots of Simpsons and lots of Futurama. And I can't remember any references from any of them. Or not many from many. As much as I enjoyed the Futurama was fantastic. But I can't remember anything about it. Right, shall we call this stream to an end, Mia?
Yes, if you've enjoyed this so far and would like to see more space engineers, because that's all we do now, space engineers at all times, excuse me. Let's switch to a cinematic view of light that Bell also does not enjoy. If you'd like to see more of this, we'll probably stream again on Wednesday at 8 p.m. GMT +1? Or are we back to Greenwich Mean Time?
No, we are in GMT +1 now.
Sorry, I keep getting confused around this
which
time.
Which is about 2 hours ago from now.
If you're watching this live. We would probably stream tomorrow too, but Sal has decided to visit Soup Lady in the hospital again. Also Thursdays, and after that we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Maybe it's cold enough again, but probably not. Oh, you should say hello to the person that just joined at the most unfortunate time.
Who says, "Hi Sal, long time." We are just about to end the stream, I'm afraid. But if you want to join us, we'll be back on Wednesday at 8 p.m. GMT +1.
Which is about 2 hours ago from now if you're watching this live.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye for now.
Are we going to do a raid thing? You keep mentioning it after the fact that we ended, that you wanted to raid someone, but then you keep forgetting it.
Streaming. We could go raid Blues.
Can we? Okay. Fellas, we'll prepare to raid our good friend
Blues McGroove,
who's currently playing the more earthbound version of Space Engineers, Minecraft. Never seen that before anywhere. It's gonna be a novel thing. I sound facetious. I don't mean any ill will against Blues. I would say that about anyone. If we were to stream Minecraft, I would probably say the same thing about us. Bloody sellouts. No original ideas. Has the thing already happened?
It's happened.
Well, thanks for those still on YouTube. If you want to join in on the fun, I would suggest that you go to Sal's YouTube, Twitch channel, which should now be hosting Blues McCruise playing Minecraft about sneaky boys or something. I don't know. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.